Hello and welcome to another video where we will be talking about quitting porn correctly and also staying disciplined. So we'll start off with what I used to do in the past, because there's a good chance you watching this are probably doing what I used to do, and that is trying to stay disciplined. Maybe you're working out, maybe you've got a good habits, meditation, maybe you're journaling. Maybe you're staying very busy, seeing friends and family and working hard. So that's what I used to do. I used to do all those things. But what would happen is after a few weeks or a few months, I would eventually go and look at pornography and I would feel absolutely awful, shame, tired, weak, lethargic. I'd lack my motivation in the days that followed, and it was really, really difficult. Sometimes I'd actually feel really motivated though, actually, after looking at porn. So it wasn't all a lack of motivation, but essentially what I was doing is I was trying to be disciplined to quit porn. Now, what I've learned over the last 6 months through help from a porn addiction recovery expert, Mary Paulus, is that you want to quit the addiction first. You want to quit porn first, and then you can care more about becoming disciplined. The way I did it is I was trying to focus on all these good habits, but I still had this addiction in my mind. Where people go wrong and where I went wrong for 10 years is I was ignoring the reality of the addictive neural pathways in my brain. I was trying to remove the triggers. I was trying to get as far away from the possibility of looking at porn as possible. And the truth is, when your brain is addicted to something, it's going to want that thing. And so it's an unsustainable solution to just go and be really productive, really disciplined, focus on your purpose, and think that that's going to lead to you not wanting porn anymore, because the brain's addicted, so it does want porn. So yeah, you may be able to do this for a few weeks, for a few months, a few days, but it's not a long-term solution to an addicted brain. So I'm going to share a bit of a story that happened literally last week. I was running this book club. I started this book club last year because I wanted to fill up my Monday evenings and I didn't have anything else to do. And back then I was like, I need to be as busy as possible, connect with people a lot more. I need to do all these different things to quit porn. So I set up a book club in my local community. Loads of people were turning up, and it kind of fizzled out over time because my energy and excitement around it has dwindled. But basically last week, we had to read this book, and it was this random book called Search Sweet Country. Didn't really like it very much, and I'm just there sat in the garden trying to read this book over and over and over, spending hours and hours reading this book because I had the book club. I was hosting this book club on the Monday, and I didn't really have time to read this book. I've got other stuff going on now. I've got a business to run, got a job to do. I've got I go to the gym still and see friends and family, and they're kind of my priorities right now. It's the business, friends, family, and looking after my health. So reading right now a fiction book isn't the highest priority for me, but I'm here reading this book, and it's set in Ghana in the 1970s. A lot of the words in it were Ghanaian. I didn't really know what was going on, and then I turned up to book club, and I was actually the only one who'd even finished this book, and I'd spent probably about 20 hours reading this book over the previous 3 days. And then the book club finishes, and I'm just laughing at myself. I'm like, how have I ended up in this situation where I'm now grafting, reading a book I don't even want to read, because a year ago I was trying to create this super busy, active, social lifestyle because I was trying to quit porn. And it's that's not the way to quit a porn addiction. It's so ridiculous. Looking back now, I can actually see why did I build out this mad busy life to try and quit porn? Because it denies the reality of addiction. The reality of addiction is you want to look at pornography. Now that is so essential to understand. Most people try and deny that fact, but it is a fact because the brain has wired to want porn. And when you think about it, denying that wanting is only postponing the inevitable, because the inevitable thing that's going to happen is you are going to eventually have these really intense urges. You're going to want porn, and in those moments, unless you have a tool to deal with that desire, you are going to go and look at porn once again. So people are trying to become really, really disciplined in their life, build out healthy habits, and all of that's great. But if you are living with a porn addiction right now, I personally, from my experience, would recommend just focusing on that addiction recovery, dealing with that. And then once you're free from it, you're not going to have these ups and downs anymore because you're permanently free. You stay stopped correctly, and then you can build out a super, super disciplined lifestyle. Because when I look back like a year or two ago, even like the previous 10 years, I was trying to be really, really disciplined, and I would be for a few weeks. But if I'm then still spending like 2 hours after a few weeks looking at porn, like, that isn't discipline. You know, the porn would literally take me away from the things that I should have been doing, or it would fill my mind with so much horrible stuff that I'd just be distracted when I was doing the things that I should be doing. So it wasn't even the time spent on porn, if I'm honest. Like, I wasn't actually spending that much time looking at porn. The real problem was the lack of energy, the lack of focus, the lack of concentration on all the things I was trying to do to build my life in the way I wanted it to be. You know, things like work, like literally just doing my 9 to 5 job. Some days it was so hard to focus and concentrate because my mind was just elsewhere, and I was even focusing on, I've just looked at porn and I'd feel horrible about that, or I'm thinking about not looking at porn. So my mind was just elsewhere. So I would really, really recommend anyone watching this to actually focus on the addiction recovery first, and then you're free to build out a super disciplined lifestyle. And I'm not saying to just like think about quitting porn all the time. Like, that isn't going to help you. What I'm saying is learn a way to deal with your urges in a proper, specific way, so that you have that at all times. So you don't need to think about this problem anymore. You don't need to stay busy. You don't need to be worried about urges. And then you're free. And then you can do whatever you want to do and live out a super disciplined lifestyle if you want to do. Or what you might find is actually you don't even need to stay really busy all the time. That's what I've found for myself. It's like I can just spend hours on my own just chilling. I don't need to be productive all the time. I don't need to be busy all the time. I can be in my flat just laying down, you know, watching some Netflix. It's cool because I'm no longer worried about the potential of having the desire to look at porn, because if that desire comes up, I just go to a very, very specific script, read out the script, make my choice, option A or option B. And this is another thing, is that I'm talking a lot about, you know, what do you do when you have an urge? So that can be a little bit more complicated, and I could probably talk about that for about 2 hours. But just very simply, what I would say is make it as precise, as specific, as simple as you possibly can. Where people go wrong is they have 10 different methods to deal with urges. It's like, I'm going to have a cold shower, then I'm going to go on a run, then I'm going to meditate, then I'm going to go see some friends, then I'm going to call someone, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that. But again, all of those things are just like distracting yourself from the reality of addiction, distracting yourself from the wanting. What you want to do is actually connect to the wanting, realize that actually in this moment right now, I have a choice. I can engage in this compulsive behavior. And then you weigh up your options. So I either do this and I strengthen the addictive neural pathways, and that's going to lead to shame, guilt, frustration, tiredness, lethargy, all these horrible feelings, social anxiety, lack of confidence. Or you choose in that moment, I am going to willingly accept this temporary discomfort, and I'm going to make the choice to not engage with this compulsive behavior, not strengthen the addictive neural pathways further. In fact, I'm going to weaken them. So you literally have an option to weaken the addictive neural pathways, make a change in your brain, change those neural pathways, and then you're going to gain like so many benefits. Confidence, more connection with people, more empathy, love, happiness, joy, more time. You're just going to gain so much more from making that choice to weaken the addictive neural pathways. So you want to make it really, really simple and learn by thinking and not by doing. This is another thing where I see a lot of people go wrong. They're learning not to look at porn by having the relapse and feeling absolutely awful afterwards and strengthening the addictive neural pathways, when you don't actually need to do that. You can literally learn by thinking about what the outcome is going to be without acting on the compulsive behavior. So hopefully that makes sense. What I personally do is I read through a very specific script which outlines the option A and the option B, and also goes through deprivation thinking and a few other things. And I would recommend just going and downloading the free training in the link to this description, where you can learn more about the Beyond Compulsion method, which is what has been working for me now for many, many months. And I really, really do hope that helps you as well. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Let's get it.